Dun 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 dun. That works, right? Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach in the late few months of 2021 has taken the world by storm, as it was the supposed huge follow-up to Steelwool's partnership with Scott Cawthon, Help Wanted, and FNAF AR. But in the release of the game, there has been a plethora of reviews, and I would like to talk about it. I've been into the Five Nights at Freddy's games ever since the beginning. I believe the first game came out around 2014 to 2016. I'm not completely sure, but I'll give the date on the video just in case. But ever since then, the franchise has been taking so many turns, from merch to books to anything. But I don't think anybody expected what became of Security Breach. Security Breach took Help Wanted's VR and free roaming experience and expanded that tenfold, going into the eyes of Gregory and trying to go through the Pizzaplex unharmed, trying to survive the night with his beloved pal Grandma Freddy. When Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach first came out, with all the glitz and glam and something completely new after about a year, 2 years of nothing, which is definitely new for the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, Steelwool Studios was quick to bring out this new and improved Five Nights at Freddy's game. In anticipation for Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, when it finally came out, it came to disappoint a lot of its fans. There was a lot of bugs, a lot of mechanics that were just not working right. It was a good game, it was a good concept, but it was just extremely hard to play or to mess with. However, Steelwool Studio was quick to respond to these issues and do a massive bug fix. But I didn't see much in regard to the bug fixes. I don't know how much they have fixed. So if you have any commentary on that, please comment them down below and I'll be most likely to see them or respond to them, or go to my Instagram at Mystery Kitten Channel, where you will find more in regards to this, and hopefully you can talk with the community and I'll answer back as well. Now, I am not a stickler for any new things that are coming up in Five Nights at Freddy's. I really love the franchise and I'll support it wherever it goes. But compared to what it used to be, is definitely a 360 difference when it comes to what it is now. Throughout the early days of Five Nights at Freddy's, it was just known for its scare value, its unique characters, and something new to the horror video game genre. Each game had its own unique scares and characters that nobody could forget. From Freddy to Springtrap, it has just an array of different characters and designs. On top of that, what I really liked about Five Nights at Freddy's is the lore behind it. I understand people have issues with it because of how convoluted and what a mess it is, but I think that's part of the fun of it. In the beginnings of Five Nights at Freddy's, there was really no lore. It was just creepy animatronics like you would see in Chuck E. Cheese, giving you a fright when you failed to close the door at the right time. However, as the franchise continued, Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, decided to challenge that a little bit. In the second game, there was a clear motive, there was a clear issue that was at hand with this game. There was an antagonist, there was a tragedy that has befallen the pizzeria, but it was up to the player to figure that out. Going through codes and screenshots and upping the brilliance of an image, Five Nights at Freddy's became a puzzle piece. However, there was holes to the story, and it was up to readers' interpretation, or the player's interpretation, of what's going on. Scott Cawthon latched onto these loopholes and created a world of where no one could really see where it went to originally. They expanded it more in books and things like that. There was the thought of life after death, something that gave meaning to the animatronics issue of security guards, for example. However, it kind of gets convoluted, especially if you go down into the books, because Scott Cawthon has said these are not canon, but they do touch upon certain parts and give certain ideas that goes along with the original timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's. But after time, it kind of gets a lot fast. Like, for instance, first we're talking about Remnant, which is part of the endoskeletons of the Five Nights at Freddy's skeletons. They are fueled by souls of these dead kids. then you're talking about FASB. It kind of gets from X to Z very quickly. In the wake of this, though, this gave Steel Wool a lot to work with. But I think that proved to be too overwhelming for the company. At the end of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, there are so many endings that you can go on. And again, I think this game is good. I really do love this game. But, as quote to other people were saying, like other people, like for instance Matt Pat and so forth, they threw everything at the wall and so it would stick. There were so many different aspects, from the books to the games to everything coming from different corners, that causes the ending to be so convoluted and kind of fall apart. This raises so many questions that we really don't have an answer to. And as the viewer, or the player, I should say, it's hard to stay within a franchise when there's no real path to go down. It's just so overwhelming to a point. It's like, where does this story want to take me? Whether that was the intent of Steel Wool because there's so many endings, I will not know. What Five Nights at Freddy's needed was definitely a refresher. Something new, something different, which Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach promised, but I don't know if that was the result. As much as I like the idea of I always come back, such as the purple guy usually says, he has been killed 3 times at this point, I believe, it kind of gets boring, at least for the old Five Nights at Freddy's community. However, Security Breach brings in new people, which I understand that's what they were attuning to. What we really need is a refresher. And Vanny, the antagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, does give that refresher. But the thing is, she loses her individuality when Purple Guy, or William Afton, is brought into the mix. She's just a clone or a mindless servant to him, which makes it difficult for her to stand out as a character. And along with Gregory and along with Glamrock Freddy, who has the affiliation of Michael Afton and the Crying Child, or people have dubbed him also Michael or Evan. I mean, a lot of other theory buffs I would recommend. Like, again, I follow Matt Pat a lot. Either way, when this franchise that was promising something new, it became convoluted with the past. In hopes of getting this old audience back, wanted to bring up the old things that were dumbly put in the ground already, that does not need digging back up. And again, I love Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach as a standalone game without all the convolutions of the story and whatnot, because honestly, Five Nights at Freddy's, as story-wise, is a mess. And with its small stories, like again, Fazbear Frights, with its small little snippets, like Goosebumps, as its own standalone stories and not to this big wide world, is a good standalone, but in a whole scheme of things, it's just a bit of a mess. As a mess that Five Nights at Freddy's, at least the series and everything of the games and the lore and that aspect, you can't lie that it is definitely a refresher to the horror series of when it came out. Five Nights at Freddy's pushed the boundaries where other games would not go and give something truly new to the franchise. Even though this turned more into a critique, I do not see it as a critique, it's just my thoughts on it. And again, if you guys want to share your thoughts, comment it down below or go into the description to my Instagram on Mystery Kitten channel. But Five Nights at Freddy's have always been near and dear to my heart and will always will be. If you like this video, please hit the like down below, and if you want more content from me, please hit subscribe and the notification bell. I will see you next time. Stay tuned.